Everyone. Thank you for joining us today, this afternoon, for our Work Readiness webinar. Today, we have a special guest, Ms. Edith Chetty. She's a proud DUT alumni and an experienced career development specialist. Passionate about helping individuals reach their full potential, she also offers guidance and support to those who seeking career direction. Committed to giving back and empowering future DUT leaders. Known for a dynamic energy and inspiring mentorship, dedicated to help others achieve growth and career success. Please welcome Edith Chetty.
Hi, everyone. It's so awesome to be with you today. Thank you so much for your time. I sincerely appreciate it. And I really hope that we, so sorry. I really hope that we're going to make the most of today and that you're really going to your time with me today. So yeah, please settle in, and it's really an honor to be with you today. I'm really privileged to be here. As Sakile mentioned, I'm a proud DUT alumni, and I have the privilege of going through a very interesting presentation with you this afternoon. So what we're going to dive into is something called Rise and Thrive, very fitting with DUT's Rise program. And I'm going to chat to you a bit about mastering work readiness for a future fit career. If at any point there are any questions or any queries that you have, please feel free to use the chat. The chat is live and going, so please feel free to put your comments in the chat. Let me know what's on your mind, and we can take it from there. So as Sakile mentioned, my name's Edith Chetty. I'm a career development and wellness specialist, been in the field for a number of years, so it really is an honor. So just to get into today, what we're going to look at first is how to master work readiness for a future fit career. And hopefully, by the end of today's session, you will learn the 5 pillars of work readiness, being mindset, habits, communication, collaboration, and teamwork. And adaptability, sorry. Secondly, you're going to be able to learn how to align your personal brand with employers' expectations. Thirdly, I'm going to show you different tools that you can use to navigate real world challenges when it comes to feedback, when it comes to deadlines, and most importantly, when it comes to teamwork. Also, you're going to learn how to use tips on showing up with confidence in interviews, in internships, and in the workplace. Now, I'm not too sure with you lot whether you also have to do an internship as part of your requirements prior to graduating. Because for me, in my final year, we needed to do experiential learning, meaning we needed to go out into the working world and literally find a job opportunity that was in line with our studies. We were equipped with a logbook, a very thick logbook, may I add, and we had to go through to the companies and work without pay during our June and July holidays. Now, if you are quite sharp like me and you like to make money, what I did was I told the company that even though they didn't need to pay me, it'll be awesome and I'll really appreciate it if they paid me a little stipend every day just to cover my taxi fare, to and from work every day. I don't know if at that stage I told them that I actually had a part-time job and I was working at a bookshop on the weekends and public holidays. But they were awesome in the sense that they didn't just pay me a stipend, they put me on an hourly rate. So I was really, really glad with that. So yeah, it was quite an awesome opportunity. And that's what led me to my career actually. So that was my first step into my career. So why does work readiness matter? And most importantly, what is work readiness? Now, in the comments, maybe some of you can share. Have you actually worked in the past? Maybe you got a part-time job. Maybe you've got a side hustle. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? Have you worked in the past? How has it been? How's it like? How does it feel juggling working and studying? Maybe even on campus, maybe you're a library assistant, or maybe you're a tutor. I know that when I was studying, we had lots of tutors and students working in the library as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments with regards to work readiness. So work readiness just means having the mindset, the skills and the habits to confidently contribute to any professional setting. Now, this can be anything from a holiday job to an internship, whether it's a learnership or a full-time. Also, what you need to bear in mind is why it's so important is because it shows employers your skill sets, especially in today's fast-driven tech world where you're always looking for adaptability. Now, remember, you guys are at a huge advantage. Being a student today is like literally you are sitting on a gold mine in the sense that you've got knowledge, you've got skills, you've got stuff that is so applicable to up and coming technologies and new ways of doing things. So that's what you need to focus on, and focus on being teachable. So always being willing to learn, always being ready and willing to put your hand in and contribute to change. So why it's so important for employers is because it shows employers that you are able to bridge the gap between your education and delving into the. Okay, so that's what's very important with regards to it. So just with regards to the 5 pillars, now I've mentioned that there is 5 pillars of work readiness. What you need to bear in mind that these are the 5 pillars, and it's really important that you pay attention to each of these pillars and don't neglect one or don't put all your attention on the other as well. Make sure that you give it your all in terms of your mindset. Now, your mindset for me, I feel, like with regards to life, I always feel that your body can do anything. You can do anything. It's your mind that you have to train. It's your mind that you have to grow. It's your mind that you have to develop. They say life happens. And, sometimes people even use the term life is lifing. And that usually is the case where sometimes you don't understand why things are happening, but things happen like at a rapid pace before you know it, and you like feel like you're just in the ocean. I mean, I miss the ocean. And sometimes you'll feel like, you're in the ocean and you're just swimming against these waves. And those circumstances can be like waves. What you need to understand is that life is going to keep on throwing challenges at you. And you need to be able to be resilient, to be able to fight back, to win the battle that is in your mind, to succumb and not to succumb to your circumstance, but to elevate yourself. I know growing up in Durban, life was never always easy. We always had challenges. But that's what I love about not just Durbanites, but South Africans and people that reside in South Africa, irrespective of whatever country you come from. The type of person that lives in this country is the type of person that thrives. What I need you to understand is a lot of things that happen also comes from your habits, the way you show up, whether you respect time. Why I'm so grateful for today's opportunity is this time can never be given back to us. This time is precious. If you think about the most richest current exchange in the world, the richest current exchange in the world is time. There is no other value on any other commodity that is time. Time is the most precious commodity because, you'd meet people along life's journey who say they've lost everything in life. And what's important to understand is, yes, they could lose everything. They could lose material things, they could lose money, but that can be accumulated. But if you don't have time, unfortunately, that's a losing battle. So that's why I believe that the way you spend your time, the habits, the way you show up, you don't have to do everything in one day. Like, especially, I know we are all preparing for exams. It's exam season coming up, and it's not about swatting and trying to memorize everything of your curriculum for your exam. What's really important is that you build consistency in allocating time each day towards studying. And I'm not talking about, exorbitant amounts of time. I'm talking about, spread your time out evenly in the sense that you know exactly what is required of you, you know what's your deadlines. And also, if you are working towards a particular deadline, and say suppose something happens and you aren't able to meet that deadline or you are delayed, please make sure that you reach out to the relevant person and communicate that to them, and always be professional. The way you show up, and you'll see, I'll talk a lot about personal branding in today's session. You'll see that it's exceptionally important that you're always clear in your communication, you're respectful, you're professional, and it says a lot about you as a person. Another important factor that I'm sure you've been exposed to is the art of collaboration, working together in a team. I can tell you from my experience of being a student that my experience of teamwork wasn't necessarily a particular positive one, only because the people in my team didn't really pull their weight that well. And as a result, I had to burden a lot of the load. Now, what you need to do, don't like use my mistake. Make sure that you actually are on top of things and that you are able to, get your team together, communicate with them, show them why we are all contributing towards these shared goals. And lastly, with regards to adaptability, you want to have an open learning mindset where you're always willing to learn, you're always acceptant of feedback, and you take that in terms of a learning and growth opportunity. I'm not too sure if there's any questions or any queries, if there's
Oh,
anything that's on your mind.
fake ass bitch.
Hey, somebody's audio is on. So with regards to essential work readiness skills, what we need to bear in mind is with work readiness skills, there are a number of different skills that we need to focus on. Okay, in order to thrive in any workplace, it's not about your qualifications, it's not about who you are as an individual, about the connections you have, the people you know, but it's about skills that you build. It's those skills that build trust. It's about driving results and fostering collaboration. So that is what you need to bear in mind, and that is what is exceptionally important. With regards to communication, as I mentioned, you need to make sure that, especially in the working place, that you always speak clearly, you always write clearly, you always listen. So when you listen, you want to listen effectively. You want to listen effectively to make sure that you're listening not to just respond, but you're listening to actually understand what is taking place. And then you're listening to basically share your input and your value add. Okay. When it comes to working in teams, please remember that we all are individuals. We all are not perfect. Everybody has their own personality, their own mindset, their own ways of doing things. And no one team is going to be the best and the greatest. It takes individuals that club together and work towards a shared goal, towards a shared vision. And so, as a team member, you need to understand that it's exceptionally important that you also contribute effectively, that you have your voice heard. Don't sit in the background. You know what? It's best to actually have your viewpoint heard than to actually just sit and be quiet. And then when you don't get the results that you expected, that's when we get disappointed and think, oh, I should have actually said that or did that. And it's too late. Okay. So always when you're in that team environment, make sure that you are effectively contributing. Okay. When it comes to problem solving, just remember that the best way to solve a problem is to always do it from a calm mindset. And I speak from experience. Somebody used to always tell me that anger is one letter short with danger. So your anger is basically only missing the letter D, and that could actually turn into danger. So always make sure when it comes to problem solving that you think critically, you think clearly, you remain calm, you don't get over emotional, and even under pressure, even if it means stepping away from the priority at hand to just go and find creative, practical solutions, apply yourself, get feedback. I can't stress that enough. Like, get feedback from other people, find out what are their viewpoints, and collectively, apply yourself to it. Remember that you are capable of absolutely doing everything, okay? There's nothing beyond you. Sometimes you just need to take a step back, apply yourself, and think carefully and clearly about how you're going to apply a practical solution to the problem at hand, okay? Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes time management, gets the better of us, especially with life going on and different priorities. I'm sure many of you are in final year. And guys, to be honest, sure, in my final year, it was so hectic for me because I was juggling studying full time on campus. Okay. And then the other thing that I did in my second year, I realized that the only way I could actually have an extra credit and an extra major is if I did studies um, if I studied a subject that was an extra credit, but it was also a major. And the only way that was doable was if I studied part-time. Now, I don't know about you, but imagine coming to lectures every single day. Okay, I know I used to start lectures at about 8 o'clock or 8:30. And then you finish lectures, and then you have to wait till 6 o'clock in the evening because that's when the part-time class starts. And then I would only get fetched around after 9 o'clock at night. Then obviously during July holidays, this didn't affect the part-time class. So what I was doing is sometimes I would work at my internship, then go to lectures in the evening, and then report back to work the next day. And obviously, because you're in a formal work environment, you have to start work at 7:30, 7 or 7:30. So it was extremely chaotic. And then also bear in mind, I had a part-time job. So my part-time job was on the weekends and public holidays. And, assignments still happened, projects still happened, tests and exams still happened. So it was really quite a juggle to manage time and prioritize what needed to be done. But I'm really grateful that that happened. And then also, going from being a full-time student to also going into part-time studies at the same time to learning a new corporate formal work environment, it was all about change for me. I had to be willing to learn. I had to actually be willing to fail. And for me, failure was not really an option because, throughout my studies, thank God, I did really well and I really applied myself. I really made sure that I always showed up to lectures. I always, even if my work, please don't take my advice, but even if my work wasn't always like complete on time, I sat right in front of class just to make sure that the lecturer saw that, oh, I was there. And, I was one of those that actually sat in class and I tried my best to pay attention. But even if I didn't do the work, maybe because I was like running behind, I still sat there. I still showed up. And I took the brunt of not maybe having all my work up to date. But that's what I did. Sometimes you have to place yourself in uncomfortable situations. So just bear that in mind as you progress and as you go ahead. Now, we've spoke quite a lot in detail about work readiness. I want you to take a few moments, please, and I want you to sit back and rate yourself in terms of the following skills. So, with regards to these skills that are on your screen, with regards to communication, teamwork, problem solving, time management, and adaptability, I would like each of you to rate yourself from 1 to 5. 1 meaning it really needs some work, and all the way up. So, whether it's 2, 3, 4, or 5, meaning you're very confident in your ability on that skill. I want you to take a moment now and rate yourself. Just wherever you're seated, wherever you are, just think about how well do you fare when it comes to communication? Are you an effective communicator? Do you actually communicate clearly and frequently? Are you a team player? Do you consider others within a team? Also, think about your problem solving abilities and how do you normally go about problem solving? Are you the type of person that runs away from your problems or do you face it head on? When it comes to time management, how do you fare with time management? Are you able to manage everything that is required of you? Do you find yourself always like running behind time and having to, catch up and sacrifice time on the weekends or when your friends are going out? Think about all of that. Okay. Now, what I want you to do with regards to your skill, think about which skill feels like your superpower. And if you want, guys, you're more than welcome to use the chat section and just list what is your superpower skill. What is the skill that you feel utterly and really, really confident in? Also, think about which skill would you like to grow and work on during this semester? Remember, the semester is not really over right now. Okay, we still got about a month and a half, I think, to go. So just think about what skill would you like to grow and work on before this year is over. Okay, think about what habits and what experience have contributed to your strengths. So, those skills that are really, very important and that you feel that you're really confident in, think about what has shaped that confidence in that particular skill. What habits have you cultivated? What habits have you built over time? And what experiences has allowed you to become confident in your ability? So, yeah, think about that. And just to move on, I'm not sure, are there any questions? I'm hoping that Sakile, if there are any questions or anyone raises their hands, please alert me. However, I do have another device, so I am able to also monitor the chat section, but for now, I'm not able to see if anyone does raise their hand, but I trust that if there is any questions, you can let me know. So just with regards to
Okay.
aligning,
Oh,
yes,
sorry,
sorry.
sorry to disturb you. Yeah,
Yes.
on the chat box, we don't have any questions as yet, but we have two hands that are being raised. I'm
Oh,
not too sure you're going to take
yes.
them now. Okay, okay,
Yes, yes, yes. I'm very happy to take them now. You are more than welcome to switch off your mic and go ahead. I've got
okay.
A Gabella and I've got N Gabella. that's very interesting. Okay, so whichever one of you wants to go first, please go ahead.
Good day, Min. Good day, everyone. I'm so
Hi
sorry.
there.
I don't know if I'm the only one facing this problem. I can't access the chat.
You can't access the chat. Okay, because on your screen there is a little it looks like a little text box, and that's how I'm able to see it. But I'm not too sure if everybody else has that issue. Maybe if somebody else could let us know. Because on my side the chat is up and it is running. But you should be able to see it on your screen. There is a little, it almost looks like a text speak out kind of thing. Okay, so maybe if you need to utilize that, you can. But please, if there's any other questions, please feel free. I know that we had another hand, but I don't see the person anymore. Okay, I'm just going to carry on for now, okay? So guys, when it comes to aligning your personal brand with employee expectations, what I need for you to bear in mind is that your personal brand is the foundation of who you are. It is how you show up, okay? It's not just your reputation, your values, your strengths. It is how you show up. It's how you look, your image. It's how you speak about yourself. It's also how others interpret you, okay? It's okay. I want you to think about a person that somebody that you absolutely are really good friends with. Okay, I want you to think about one of your closest friends or one of your favorite people. Okay, so take a moment to just think about your favorite person. Isn't when it comes to that favorite person, don't you get really excited if you know you guys are going to meet up? Like whether it's today is Wednesday, okay? Say suppose Friday after lectures, you guys are going to meet up, you're going to do something fun. Like you would just get excited at the thought of them. But now I want you to think of that type of person who, on the flip side of things, is when you see that person coming in your direction, you literally like turn and want to walk the other way and say, not today, Satan. I can't deal with this, you know. So because of that person, that's the impact that they have, that you just can't stand them. So you have the one person on one hand whose personal brand really shines, really appeals to you, whereas another person on the other hand that for whatever reason you may not vibe with, you might not get along with, maybe you have different viewpoints, you guys just don't see eye to eye. Their personal brand to you absolutely sucks. You have a really poor reputation of them. Now, imagine yourself and imagine what people say about you. So basically, your personal brand is what you make up. Okay, so it's the reputation, it's your character, it's your habits, it's how you show up. How do you want to create impact, and what impact would you have? Okay, now when it comes to employers, very importantly, this is a list of things that employers look for. Okay, so when it comes to professionalism, I want to understand that when you are employed, regardless of whatever job it might be, you know, it might be a simple job as, for example, helping your aunt at their spaza shop, whether it's on the weekends, whether you have time after campus and, you know, you tend to help out. It's that sort of reliability, even though it's your aunt, and even though maybe, you know, you're doing this just because she has nobody else to help her, but it's that type of communication that you give her, you know, where if you are running late, you actually call her and say, you know, auntie, I'm running a bit late. I'm really sorry. You're not taking things for granted. So that is the type of professionalism people, and most importantly, employers want to see. Also, what's really important is that you're consistent in the way you show up, that you're not just respectful and reliable, but you're consistent. And people can actually gauge how your personality is based on that. Okay. Most importantly, when it comes to employees, they want to know how well do you know yourself. Now, guys, I'll be honest. When I was in second year, when I was in third year, I really didn't really know a lot about myself. And you know what it took? It took hard work. It took dedication. It took my consistency in showing up that the people that employed me to undertake my learnership or my internship at their company, they saw my potential. They actually were able to understand and know where I was going to, what the type of person I was, and how I was building myself up for the future. Now, with you guys, I think it's really important that you cultivate this habit of being more self-aware in terms of understanding what your values are. What are those non-negotiable things that govern your life? Like, what are things that are principles and values that you hold dear? They are like absolutely important to you. Think about what your passions are. What are your interests? What are some of your goals? You know, what do you think is your purpose in life? Also, what's most important, I know that the youth unemployment rate is exceptionally high, but what you need to understand is don't go into a company just because it's a job and it's paying you. That is not the greatest mindset to have, because you'll find, excuse me, that you'll never be completely satisfied, that you will stay in a job maybe for a month, maybe for 2 months, if you're lucky, 6 months, and then eventually you'll say, oh, you know what? The values of this company don't match mine, in the sense that you don't share the mission and the vision of where this company is going. Maybe you don't enjoy the culture of the environment. So always make sure that when you're in an interview, even that you ask questions. At the end of an interview, when a person says, do you have any questions for me? Don't say, oh no, everything's fine. Don't do that. Guys, I used to do that as well. Okay. Just make sure that you ask questions. Ask them about the culture of the organization. What do they do for their staff? How do they empower their staff? What sort of workplace wellness matters do they adhere to? What do they practice? What do they believe in? What are their belief systems? So always make sure that you're doing that. And then one very important factor is, what impact are you wanting to leave? Okay, so back when when I was on campus and I had to get my CV done, I remember on my CV that I used to list the job duties of whatever job I was in. Okay, that was the right way of doing it. But right now, the way the world is going and the way the world of work is changing, what's really important is not about showing what you do, but it's how you do it. It's about showing how what you did made an impact. How whatever you did didn't just was just there to like tick a checklist to say I completed a task, but to show what potential you have in terms of what impact, what contribution you made. So that's what's really important. Okay. Then just moving on. So with regards to aligning your brand, what you need to understand is you need to do this reflection exercise where you think about, in my career, as I'm stepping into a new career, what do I want to be known for? And this is where your personal brand plays a huge part in things. Okay, you need to understand, who am I as an individual? What are the people closest to me? What do they say about me? When we are together, when we are just sharing our life stories and experiences, what is it that they tell me that I'm good at? Like what it is that, how do I bring value within those circles? Okay, start off with your close friends and family, then work around your peers, the people that you study with, work around your community. Also, ask your lecturers. You mean your lecturers have been in, like, you've been in their classes, hopefully. That's if you attended all your classes. Hopefully, you've been going to classes and you've been there for like 3 odd years. So they would have known your character. They see the way you communicate. So all of that is really important when it comes to aligning your brand. Also, very importantly, is before you go for an interview, guys, it doesn't matter if, somebody knew someone who got you into the company. Do your research. Show that you have earned your right to be there and that you deserve a spot at the table. Okay. So look at what it is about this company, what it is that they value. Sometimes it's not just about, oh, what products and services do they manufacture or offer? Look at what corporate social responsibility projects do they do, in the sense of what community engagement do they do? How do they give back to those around them? One thing that's really important, and what I love about DUT, is the lifelong relationship that they instill in us even when we were students. And that is why I've made it my mission to actually want to give back. So when you are successful as well one day in the working world, and you have built a great career for yourself, please consider coming back to DUT to speak to the students and to reverse the role in the sense that you know that somebody has contributed to you. Now you go and pay it forward. So, like that, always make sure that everything that you do resonates and it matches with your personal brand. Also, be willing to share. Be willing to share stories, give feedback, and don't be afraid of sharing achievements, because that is bound to inspire someone. That's bound to, make somebody believe that if I can do it, you can do it as well. Okay, so that's really very important. Now, how do you actually thrive using these real world challenges? How are we going to adapt every single thing that we have shared today on this webinar? Okay, so say suppose it is feedback. Okay, so when it comes to feedback, ask questions, listen for the feedback, understand what helps you grow, understand why this feedback is being given to you, and most importantly, guys, have an open mind. There's nothing worse than a person who's closed off and who doesn't want to listen to anyone saying anything because their way is the right way. Just be open. You never know what you would learn. And also it just shows that you are the bigger person and that you are willing to change. You are adaptable, and that is the most important thing. Also, if you don't understand when some sort of feedback is being given to you, make sure you ask questions to understand why they are saying what they are saying, and try and understand from their viewpoint also. Make sure you're always respectful at the end of that feedback, and then look at ways on how you can apply that feedback to you. Also, what's really good is I like doing this. If somebody had to give me feedback, always ask, if you were in my situation, how would you handle things? How would you do things differently? And that is a nice way to get their perspective on why they're giving you the type of feedback that they are. Okay. When it comes to deadlines, like as I mentioned, when it comes to our studies and juggling so many different things, maybe you have home responsibilities as well as studies. Maybe you're trying to build your side hustle. You know, I believe that you should have clear focus in terms of allocating time to everything that you need to do. So, like for example, today, before doing this webinar, I made sure that I got up very early in the morning and I prepared for another session that I had prior to this quite early. But before doing that even, I had to do some other work for another client. So I was able to actually allocate an hour. I did that work. Then I went into the webinar that I needed to do. Then I went back into doing and catching up on my other tasks and duties. And then, because I'm an individual who loves food, I made sure I actually baked before like attending this webinar because I was like, it's something to look forward to. So that was like my small win of being able to manage my time effectively because like after this webinar, it's not like my day's over. I still have other areas of my business that I need to focus on. But that banana bread that I got waiting for me at home is something that I can look forward to, okay? It might be silly, it might be small, but it's something that, you can actually put value and stay motivated like that, okay? So when it comes to teamwork, just remember, when it comes to teamwork, you want to direct your compass. You want to understand your role and the role that you play, as well as being respectful to others. Especially, like when it comes to teams and everybody is allocated different tasks, just make sure that you're communicating with people. Don't just wait for the deadline or for the deadline to be approaching or for people, to follow up and say, hey, Sakile, did you complete your task? I'm waiting. Don't wait for that. Make sure that you are proactive. Sorry to pick on you, Sakile, but I just thought, why not? But I think it's really important that, everybody plays their role in making the dream work. So I always believe teamwork makes the dream work. If you have a great team, you can accomplish almost anything. Okay. And just remember, you are in this team for a reason. So whatever team that might be, maybe it's a study session, a study group that you've put together, just understand that it's important that you show up as well and that you contribute because that's all part of building your personal brand. Okay, now when it comes to showing up with confidence, how can we ensure that we show up with confidence in every area? So when it comes to interviews, whether it's internships, or even in the workplace, you want to ensure that you always speak clearly. You always when you speak, you smile. Now, you can't see me right now, but you possibly can hear that I am smiling. Also, when you smile, irrespective of how nervous you are, I'm not sure if you're aware, but do you know that your body doesn't know the difference between anxiety and happiness? So if you smile, even though you're dying inside and you're very nervous, your body doesn't know the difference, okay? So it's best to actually smile. And then also with smiling, it conveys a warmer personal brand. It shows that you are relatable. And immediately when you smile, your whole body relaxes, okay? So that's really important to remember as well. Very importantly as well is to know your value. So, whether it's an interview, whether it's an internship, whether it's in the workplace, understand and prepare three strengths that you can bring to the table. So, whether it's an interview, think about three strengths before you even get to the interview and talk about how these strengths how do you show these strengths in action? Why do you feel you have these strengths? And relate a story that you have experienced throughout your journey. Okay, so I'll give you a classic example. In my final year, obviously, I had finished my internship and now it was final exams. And I'm not too sure why. And guys, this is a true story, but I don't know why. But my sister decided to get married literally in between my final year exams, literally during my exam time. So you can imagine if you've ever had a family wedding or some important event, you know how chaotic your home environment can be. So obviously it was just not conducive to studying. As a result, I spent so many late nights at the library on campus. I actually even had to book a place to stay just so that I could stay in an environment where it was conducive. I could study, I could prep for my exams, and thankfully it paid off in the long run. So that worked to my favor. But just like for me, my strength was being resilient and rising above that challenge. And then in the end, you know, when I graduated, I could see the success in the sense that also when my internship finished, I just before leaving the company, you know, I'm not too sure if you've ever experienced this, but the company that you do your internship at gives you an envelope that you have to hand in back at campus. And I was very scared. I actually was so tempted. I said, I wish I could open this envelope just to see what they said about me, but I couldn't. But what was really awesome is at the end of that internship, the company where I did my internship actually told me that we had a face-to-face meeting, and they told me that Edith, once you're finished with your studies, once your exam is over, we want you to start with us, and we're offering you a contract of employment. And that for me was such a relief. You know, it was like, oh my gosh, all that resilience, all that hard work, all that dedication really, really paid off. So I want you to understand that when you go through life and when you go through circumstances, that yes, life is not going to be easy, but you need to understand that mistakes happen. You need to be able to own them, learn from these mistakes, and most importantly, be able to bounce back stronger. Guys, don't hold, you know, sorry, as I was saying, don't hold your circumstance as your crutch in terms of saying that, oh, it's my environment or it's circumstances, and that is why I'm unable to thrive. You need to find a way to make it happen. You need to find that winning solution. Okay. So prior to going for an interview, make sure you understand the company, make sure you understand the role, and most importantly, make sure that your values align with each other. Okay. And then um, ask questions. You know, you're the new kid on the block. So what better way to learn than to ask questions? And nobody's going to mind because they're going to see that you actually have a vested interest. Okay. So that's really important. And most importantly, people will remember how you made them feel. So the way you show up tells a person a lot more about you. Now, I'm not too sure if you heard of the late Dr. Maya Angelou. She was a very, very well-known American poet, and she said, you know, people may forget what you did, what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that is something that I live by. That is a principle that I completely live by, and I like to practice based on that. So guys, with that, I'm so grateful that you all have shared this time with me today, and I really wish you the best of success in your career. Please, if you would like to connect with me, I am on LinkedIn. I would love for you to actually connect. I do share information on career development very often, as well as tips on how to develop yourself towards the working world with regards to CV writing, interview skills. So if you want to stay in touch, please feel free to follow and connect with me on LinkedIn. But I really want to thank you so much for your time. And it was really an awesome privilege and an honor to be with you today. So I'm going to hand back to Sakile.
Edith, Sakil is a bit preoccupied at the moment, so I'll just close it out.
No
Before we
problem at
close it
all.
out, guys, is there any questions? Any questions?
Are they feeling a bit shy?
Yeah, they are feeling a bit shy.
I think so too. if there's anything that is on your mind that maybe you weren't able to share today, guys, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, drop me a message, and then I'll be able to offer you some sort of guidance and feedback as well.
Sorry, Edith.
Hi,
Yeah,
yes.
sorry, I just got back. I just had an emergency to attend to.
Oh, no, no problem.
Yeah, I think the guys are shy because they are used to Ronel's voice over these webinars.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, but I just want to thank you for sharing with us because you really touched on some key points, especially when you talk about the essentials of work readiness. When you touched on those five essential
Pillars.
points, yes, because those
Yes.
are the very, very essential ones, like you said. Because I think they help us when even I took some points from that. They help us a lot in being not just being only work ready, but also maintaining the work, that maintaining the job, being within the job. It really
Yeah.
helps us a lot, like shifting your mindset, being punctual, working in the team. So I
Yes.
really thank you because you really touched those are very because most of the time people don't really go through such or just share such information with us, and we struggle with those things like getting into the workplace because people think it's a more for technical skills that we need, but
Yeah.
those are the basics that actually keep you in a job. Just being able to adapt,
Yes.
willing to
Yes.
learn. So thank you very much for that.
No problem. It was an absolute pleasure. Guys, I didn't say I wish you all the best for your upcoming examinations and assessments. I really pray and hope that everything goes really well. And I hope that you will be successful. And very soon, you're going to call yourself a DUT alumni as well. So thank you, guys, and all the best, and take care.
Okay, before you guys leave, oh, thank you so much, Edith. Before you guys
No
leave for
problem.
DUT Rise, hoping we will see you on Saturday, guys, as we'll be handing over your t-shirts. Can you, if you haven't RSVP'd or if you haven't accepted the link that we shared with you guys with the date and the venue, can you please accept it so we will know, guys, if you guys are coming or not? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Akile. Take care.
Okay, take care, Edith. Thank you so much.
Thanks, hey. Bye-bye.
Hapa ngisho ngisho ni. Hii phrase lana ikhohliwe.